I say around 75, 76 when we had busing, it was bad. All the hatred showed its face, ugly showed its face. And it was difficult for us as students because we just wanted to go to school. The school I was at was integrated, and of course, I think it was the ratio may have been 80% white and 20% black, which was the number they were trying to achieve, but neither here nor there. Ugly showed its face, and then you saw that you saw other communities grow. Like, take for an example, Oldham County grew substantially. Bullitt County grew. And these were people who didn't want their kids to go to school with kids who were 10 shades darker than them and didn't want it. And so we've had cross burnings, of course, fights in schools, and it was just, it was bad. It was real bad, yeah.
What's up, YouTube family? It's your boy Q1 Mega. I am happy to introduce a show called A Moment in Your World, where I invite guests who share their experiences, story, and perspective on life, plus their past, present, and future. Now, I'm making this video before I showcase the full episode because I was having technical difficulties. I wasn't able to capture the beginning of the interview. Batteries kept going dead. One of the cameras I couldn't even use. So I'm just giving y'all some context. And I'm a one-man show. I'm learning as I go. So give me some grace. So with all that being said, I hope y'all enjoy the show. Being said, this particular gentleman right here, I have tremendous respect for. I've known him for over 5 years. We've been working together, and this man here, man, is the type of brother who he has to be forced to take a break. Like, he always got something going, always on the move. He's very influential to be around and just to see him move and operate on a day-to-day basis. As you can see, we in this beautiful movie room, that he built. I remember when he first built it and everything. So absolutely love this gentleman right here. So with that being said, go ahead and introduce yourself.
Well, there's one thing about me and my desire to continue to go, and the reason why you see me on the move all the time is that I do believe in physics, and that is things in motion stay in motion, things at rest, they stay at rest. So if you're working on something, you'll continue to work on it, whatever it is in life. But if you're not working on anything today, chances are you're not going to be working on it tomorrow. It ain't going to get done. So so that's where physics comes in. And then, of course, in life, you have goals, and you want to reach them. And the only way to obtain them is that you got to work towards them.
Absolutely.
You got to do the things that are necessary to accomplish things that you set out to do. And if you don't, well, no one's going to do it for you.
Right.
And I guarantee it's not going to fall out of the sky.
You can guarantee that.
Yeah, it's not going to fall out of the sky, Keith.
Right. You got that right, man. You sure got that right. Sometimes it can be so simple. Just you get out what you put in. You put in the work, and enjoy it later, right?
Yeah. And that's the law of sowing and reaping. You got to sow good seed on good ground, and then it will produce. You're going to get something in return. But if you don't have any seed, well, we all have seed. Seed is, in my opinion, is effort. and whatever we set our minds to, and whatever we apply that we want to accomplish or achieve, we can do it. But it's a matter of effort, you know.
Right.
And so
Absolutely, absolutely. So, take me back, Tony. Let's start from the beginning, right? I know you told me you was born and raised here in Louisville, right?
Yeah.
The West End, to be specific.
Yeah.
And run me through that. How was
Well, we were. I was born. All six of us were born in a housing project called Carter Homes, and it was of course, it was your typical housing projects. The only thing I will say, what I admire about it most is that there was a sense of family, sense of love. It gives camaraderie a new meaning. In that you hear things that you borrowed from your neighbors.
barter system?
Yeah, and whether it was some cornmeal or some flour or some sugar, whatever it was, you did. Whether it was eggs, it didn't matter, that you could actually go to your neighbor. And we hear biblically, love thy neighbor as thyself, and we do good to all men, especially those in the household of faith. And that's what it was. It was a community. Mm-hmm. And I learned a sense of community to really put into action, love your neighbor, and also there were some enemies. You gotta love your enemies and do good to them as well. But for the most part, I learned a sense of family. Mm-hmm. And father died when I was 12, but my mother, she raised all of us, and she raised her nephew, my cousin, raised him as well. And so there was always hope there. And that's what I admired so much. And that's what I learned. Admired my mother and learned from an early age in terms of loving your neighbor. Yeah, I learned that.
That's beautiful, man. That's beautiful. So you said you grew up in a house of 6.
Yeah.
Brothers. And so were you the youngest?
No, I was the second to the oldest, and my brother Daryl, he died 96. Yeah, he passed away. He had terminal brain cancer. But my mom, she raised us, and I can remember as a kid going out and doing errands for the neighbors, and the money I got, whether you were washing windows or mowing the lawn or run errands, go to the store or do things for your neighbors, you would get 50 cents or a quarter or a dollar, whatever it was.
Right.
And of course, you use the money to provide for the house. I remember shoveling snow, mowing the lawns and washing windows, those things.
Right.
Which were good. So I learned a work ethic as a child. To this day, we all had chores, and you learned how to take care of a house. That was something in our tradition, that you always kept the house neat and in order, and so I learned every aspect of how to take care of a house, the upkeeps. This is before dishwashers, before vacuum cleaners. You had to sweep and you cleaned up. So it was something that I really admired in terms of learning. How to maintain a household.
Yeah. So you really had to put in that work, and
Oh yeah, man.
You know, to this day, like you love the fact that you actually went through that, like before the vacuums and before the dishwashers and everything. Like you really.
Oh, you learn how to wash dishes, and they better be clean,
right?
buddy.
Yeah, that was like
they better be clean.
You know, to me, you know, it sounded like the golden age when you talk about the barter system. Like it was a different time.
Oh
like,
man,
you know what I'm saying? We respect and love each other way more. Like I've heard the saying like it takes a village to raise a child.
Oh, absolutely.
And everybody was more integrated with each other.
Oh
you know,
yeah,
they all had each other back.
Yeah, you had, and of course I had my mom that was in.
Change his battery.
Sure, I had my mother, of course, who was in the house.
Mm-hmm.
But when you left the house, every adult became your parent because they didn't hesitate to correct you if you needed some correction. And heaven forbid, if I walked by somebody's porch, I walked by them and not say hello or good morning or good evening. Oh man, you got scolded. Don't you ever do? Oh, buddy, you know that was a crime. That was
forbidden.
That was a felony, buddy. Don't you ever walk past my house and not greet me.
Right.
And of course we learn that God has instructed us to give honor where honor is due and respect where respect is due. And so those that is one of many things that I learned as a child.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's dope. That's beautiful, man. So when you would say like around the times to be specific, right? So your high school years here in Louisville, was that like the 80s or the 70s?
That was the 70s,
okay.
And it was a very bad time, I think, in Kentucky specifically. And I say it was bad because while the intentions for busing may have been good, I think for the most part, the schools were segregated at the time, very segregated. And of course, the federal judge said, that the way the school systems were set up were unconstitutional, and so therefore they began to wanted to integrate the schools. Well, I think for the most part, the problems that we had were deeply rooted in distrust and hatred towards another group. And there was lots of division. And I say around 75, 76, when we had busing, it was bad. All the hatred showed its face, ugly showed its face. And it was difficult for us as students because we just wanted to go to school. The school that I was at was integrated, and of course, I think it was the ratio may have been 80-20, 80% white and 20% black, which was the number they were trying to achieve. But neither here nor there. Ugly showed its face, and then you saw that you saw other communities grow. Like, take for an example, Oldham County grew substantially. Bullitt County grew, and these were people who didn't want their kids to go to school with kids who were 10 shades darker than them, and didn't want it, and so we've had cross burnings, of course, fights in schools, and it was just it was bad. It was real bad. Yeah.
So, what do you remember? Like the first riot, or were there like any major like riots that occurred?
Well, there were a lot of there were cross burnings. I do remember at Southern High School. I know there was cross burnings. Valley High School. There were cross burnings, and it was just it was just ugly, and of course, as you look back, or as I look back, for the life of me, it bothered me a lot because I didn't want to feel unwanted going to school. Didn't want to wake up to a fight, potential fight, and it was just not a good time.
Not a good time.
No, not a good time in Kentucky. In Kentucky, wow. It was bad. It was very bad.
I can only imagine. So, 75 and 76. So, what was your age and grade at that particular time?
I was a sophomore, and I was going into my junior year.
Okay, so you was in high school.
Yeah, I was in high school. I was going into my junior year, and we were redistrict. They redistrict and bus others. So they changed our district, and we went. The school that I went to, there were lots of racial problems towards the new kids coming in, mainly the black kids, and we just wanted to go to school and learn, and that is the honest God truth. That's one thing I could say about my generation is that my generation, I could say we had a lot of aspirations of becoming somebody, being somebody, and whether it was through academics, going to college, that was the big push to go to college. And so my generation was very, very assertive in terms of the professional world. I could say that, whether it was becoming a plumber, electrician, carpenter, whatever, a nurse, phlebotomist, CNA, our generation wanted to pursue those professions, and of course, some went to college, but you wanted to. There was a sense of mom and dad weren't going to take care of you. So the question is, what do you want to become? What do you want to do? And those avenues were there. What we didn't expect was that in some professions there were glass ceilings, and of course some wouldn't allow us in anyway, no matter how qualified we were, because of our ethnicity, because of who we are. And so that is something that we faced, and but something that eventually we had to overcome it as well.
That's a shame. That you actually had to go.
And what it is that we put our faith a lot in the system. We did. Blind faith, not knowing, okay, we're going to college, but when you graduate, whether you graduate with honors, the fact that you graduated is an accomplishment. But the problem became is when you enter the job market, people didn't, there were some companies that didn't want you in there, and so you didn't get in.
Right.
I remember a large, I can share this. I remember there was a large public relations firm, and it was called Rogers & Cowan. They're probably one of the largest public relations firm in California. Well, naive me, when I graduated, I loved public relations. I loved publicity. I just loved the entertainment field and everything about it.
Mm-hmm.
So I wanted to go work for them because they were a big firm. And there was a guy, his name was Stephen L. Goldstein, and he used to work for them. And later he moved on to Gutman and Pam, which was a large public relations firm in California. So I went there and applied for a job. And the lady interviewed me, and I looked around and didn't see anyone that resembled me and or looked anywhere close to me, male or female.
This is in California.
This is in California, beautiful Southern California, the Golden State, the liberal state, and there weren't any people there that resembled me at all. And the lady, she told me, she said, and I asked her, I said, I asked her, I said, do you all hire black people here? Qualified black people here? And she, and I said, because I don't see any.
Right.
And yet, I can share this. One of the biggest clientele that they had were black entertainers. Lionel Richie being one of them. And there are some more.
I'm sure.
We'll leave that be.
Okay.
So I'm saying, on one hand, you handle all these, a lot of black celebrities, but you have no black employees.
Right.
Why is that so? Qualified black employees.
Right.
And buddy, I was qualified. I was ready, man. I had it down.
Mm-hmm.
So she said, well, why don't you why don't I do this? I'm gonna give you someone, and he's with Motown. I want you to call him. So
the person that she wants you to call is one of the employees, or is she talking about a client?
No, she wanted me to call Motown, their person who's their director of communications.
Okay. Got you.
Wanted me to call Motown because Motown is chocolate.
Oh yeah.
Motown. Motown.
That's Detroit, right?
No, this is in California.
Oh,
this
so
is
it's a
Barry
Motown.
Barry Gordy moved from Detroit to California because of where the industry was going.
Yeah. Gotcha.
So I talked to the person in Motown, about it, and he just flat out just said it. He says, they're not gonna hire you. He says they're not. And he says
straight up,
not because of your ability, because you're black, and they're not going to hire any black people. And I said, okay. So
discrimination.
Yeah, and it hurt because I think for the most part, and I can say to this day, I know that God sent us here, brought us here for a reason. And I know that we're the most forgiving people on this planet. How can you coexist with someone who's treated you so bad?
Right.
And yet you still love them as your neighbor and as your brother. So I go to Motown, and he just told me. And he told me that they wouldn't hire me, and I said, okay. And so that was somewhat discouraging,
I bet,
for me. And during this period, while I was in college, I can share this with you. So our golf team wanted to go to Hawaii to golf in a tournament, and they were trying to raise money. So one of the guys came to me and said, "Hey, you know how we raise some money?" And I said, yeah, I can handle that. I think I can do it. So what I did, I was working for a public affairs show at NBC.
So this is after.
This is in California. This is during this time. So
Did that happen after you got the information that you wasn't going to get hired? So this is after the fact.
oh, this is before the fact.
Okay,
before the fact.
Okay.
Yeah. So what I did was, I said, okay, I need to go some money. So what can we do? What's hot? What can we do? So in my brainstorming, Tom Cruise had appeared on the show that I worked for. And I had his contact information, and I said, okay. And the movie was fairly new, just came out, so it wasn't dead. It was called TAPS, the Academy of Professional Soldiers. It was Tom Cruise and Sean Penn had starred in it, and Timothy Hutton. That's when the young stars was coming up. So I called Steve Goldstein, who handled Tom Cruise. He was with Gutman and Pam. So I said, Steve, can you get Tom to come, and we're going to show the movie at the college, and get Tom to come, and, people come, raise some money. So, of course, got the movie. I called, I think his name was Irv Ross, and he was executive vice president of 20th Century Fox. So I called him, and of course Eileen Pasternak. I don't know if these people are still living. They may or may not be. So she arranged for me to get the movie and show it at the college, and we did raise money. They went to golf team had money to go to Hawaii. So in the story. So
did Tom Cruise show up?
Yeah.
Oh.
And he showed up, and Sean Penn came as well.
Okay.
He came, and
so what did that look like? Not to cut you off, but like, being that you have the movie and you're showcasing the movie, you got the people in there raising the money and everything. So what did he just talk after the movie, or was it before the movie, or?
He talked after the movie.
Okay.
And he came to the school that I was at. It was at California Lutheran University. And this is the time that I'm interviewing with Motown and Gutman and Pam, public relations firm. Because that's, eventually, that's what I had pursued at the time. And I love the entertainment industry and love publicity. And
so you were a journalist?
Yes, and but still in college. So I'm in college still.
You're like an intern.
Yeah.
Okay.
So we did this, and this was all on my own. Excuse me, free of charge.
Okay.
And it was something that I love and I enjoy doing. So Sean Penn, he had showed up in character. He was filming Fast Times at Ridgemont High at the time. So he came, and it was great. Tom, super guy, super nice. He was running. I never got a chance to run with him. At the time, he used to run a lot. And, of course, that's when I got into distant running. And we never got together to run, but, it was a good thing. Had a lot of fun.
So this is Tom Cruise when he was starting to
become
a star.
Yeah.
So what do you say, like early 20s when he started doing his thing?
He was in his early 20s, and he was I can say he's a great individual. And I don't mean great in terms of the camera, being in front of the camera. Off the camera, I think he's a superhuman, great guy, a very warm person, and he's in my opinion. I don't know. I'm telling you how he treated me.
Right.
I'm telling you how Sean Penn treated me.
That's
and
dope.
of course, I'm not. I was a college student, and they could have pushed me to the side, tell me to get to the curb, kick me to the curb,
Right.
and everything.
Right.
But they didn't. Just super guys. And then, it was a great thing that we did, and it was a lot of fun, and everybody benefited. But that's where at the time my desire was. I love publicity. I was, that's where my heart was, and so that was a good time.
That's a dope. That's a dope thing. So you were like you were a freshman in college?
No, I was a senior.
Okay, so you was on your way out.
Yeah, on
of
my
college
way out.
at that particular time.
Yeah.
Okay, so then when you graduated college, that's when you wanted to go into the firm.
Before I graduated, I wanted to. I was ready. I would say, hands down, I was ready. Because the desire was there, and of course, you can't teach effort.
Right.
That's one of the things my pet peeves. You can't teach effort. Either you have it or you don't.
Right.
And that's one of the things I learned in life. Yeah.
So I see you representing, the USC, and I remember us talking. You said that you played football.
Well, I didn't. I went to graduate school at USC, film school. I played football at Morehead State, and we had, of course, Phil Simms played quarterback there. He's Super Bowl champ, New York Giants. And we had Greg Bright. He played for the Bengals, the Macho Man, and he played for the Raiders. Greg, we keep in contact.
Oh, that's dope.
But it was, I left Morehead because I hadn't dealt with the trauma that I had gone through in high school. And the trauma was, the constant
Discrimination.
Discrimination, the hatred, and having to go to school met with violence every day. And I didn't realize how traumatized I was. And
It seemed like that's how it usually works.
And I grew a dislike for the state. So I left. I didn't want to be here anymore because I felt it was ugly, and I didn't feel like that I could achieve or accomplish anything here, and I just didn't want to be here.
That sounded like the move, like the best move to make.
Yeah,
you know
was
what
to
I mean?
get out. It was just, and of course, people have different perspectives on it, but I didn't realize how traumatized I was until I got away, and I could literally breathe some fresh air. Oh
Right.
yeah.
So to understand you correctly, because I want to get the times right. So when was it exactly that you did leave Louisville and then go to the
77.
77? So
Yeah.
so literally after you graduated.
Well, no, I went to Morehead State for a year and played football.
Okay.
And during that time, there was a bad snowstorm that happened that time. And UPS threatened to leave because it caught the city or caught the state by surprise because they didn't have the proper equipment to be able
sustain
to.
It.
Yeah, and so it was that, And again, I was so traumatized. And now keep in mind, I had never been to California. Never.
I'm sure that was intimidating when you first got
Well,
there.
it was. I think my heart was there, and I've never. I've always. I try to look at things optimistically, and I felt in my heart that I could be successful anywhere I go if I apply the things that I've learned in life and walk in the sight that God has, led me. And so because of that, I felt, no matter where I went, I could be successful no matter where and what I did, where I was or what I did.
And that says a lot about you, that you had that confidence in you, and you was able to walk, you know what I'm saying, in faith, and you just knew it didn't matter wherever you went, and that takes guts and heart to actually do, to actually move to, the other side of the nation, by yourself, and but you said you kept a optimistic perspective with it, and that helps a lot.
Oh yeah, and you know that the Lord is really your shepherd, and yea, though I walk through the valley of shadow of death, I will fear no evil.
Right.
For thou art with me, thy rod and thy staff, they comfort me. And so I knew this, and I believe this, and I did. I stepped out on faith, and so we walked by faith and not by sight, and I had no idea about that, and I just felt that if I could get away, and I think it helped me get over the trauma, because I never, Q, I've never learned or never disliked the people because of their ethnicity. It never registered. I don't care who you are, what you are. I can't hate somebody because of your 10 shades lighter than I am or whatever. And I just never bought into. And the one thing, I look back, we talk about parenting. Man, we didn't have time to hate people. We didn't. We were surviving. We don't have time to throw all this energy into disliking you and blaming you on our circumstance. We were ignorant to them, ignorant to little things like, I could tell you the Democrats voted, when we talk about welfare, the Democrats are the ones that voted, and there were Republicans too, so both parties voted at the time that if you got welfare, the father couldn't be in the home. Now, we know that God...
Divide and conquer.
God had, after he made Adam, he made Eve because he saw that it was not good for man to be alone, so he made him a helpmate. So God started this institution and between male and female. And that's what God did. And he wanted, because he said it was not good for a man to be alone. And that is unity. That means you're united together for better, for worse, sickness and health, to death do us apart, meaning he intended you to be together forever. So if God tells you this, then why would you vote to separate something that God has put together? Why would you do that?
Divide and conquer.
And take the head of the house out. And that is something that, again, we look back and we can't say that they were ignorant. This was intentionally done.
Absolutely.
And we know this because it's needed. So on one hand, then we say, well, where does the discipline in the home comes in if you remove the head of the house?
Yeah.
How are you going to discipline these children?
Exactly.
And so we find ourselves in such a mess in terms of the household structure.
A lot of turmoil.
Yeah, and it's sad, but we look back, these politicians making these decisions. These are very ungodly decisions.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So you said it took you a while to get over that trauma and that discouragement that you went through and experienced. So how long did it take for you to start first realizing it, and then second actually healing, actually dealing with it, and you know what I mean?
I think that it was a while, because I didn't realize when I got to California that I could breathe. And I went to San Diego Community College. And of course there were different ethnicities that were there, and I saw, and of course just people to me, because they are,
So to paint a picture, when you first moved to San Diego, in California in general, it was a whole different world.
Yeah.
You said it was very integrated with different
ethnicities. They were, and it was a true melting pot, so as they call it here in America. But it was just learning about different cultures, and it was. I thought it was a great thing, and of course. You can coexist with anyone you want to when you have, and I realized the love in my heart that God had blessed me with, that's within me, to love everyone, and that's something that I can take to my grave.
Right.
If the good Lord is to call me home, I can, I'm thankful. I can go to my grave and say I didn't hate anyone.
That's beautiful.
Based on their ethnicity. I don't, right. And I can't.
You came from love.
Yeah. Absolutely.
You came from love, so it's
absolutely.
Like, it can't penetrate your heart.
No.
Because your heart is pure.
Yeah.
And I know that. So, like, being in that whole different world in California, did you still experience like racism?
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
Oh, absolutely.
Because we is talking about a whole nation.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
It's all affected.
Yeah. So it's very segregated. It was as segregated as it was here in Kentucky.
Oh, was it really?
Yeah, as segregated, but you just see more of different shades,
cultures,
and different cultures. Yeah, absolutely.
Yes.
But it wasn't as explicit outwardly as it was here. There were some communities that my football coach Harry West. I don't know if he's still living. He may or may not be. That he told us, not to go to.
And he was a black man as well.
No, he was white.
Oh, okay.
He was, Harry West. He was white, and he told us, not to. He told us the areas don't go out at night or be caught around.
Gotcha.
And so
they called them sundown towns, right? Sundown towns?
Well, no, it was, sundown town, but he was more specific in the area. He told us exactly, what area, and it was Santee. And he said, don't get caught. Don't be in this area after dark. He says, because it's bad.
Got you.
Yeah.
Got you. Wow, that is Yeah, I mean, I still see, certain, what they call it, sundown towns. Now it's I get on YouTube and I see it's particular platforms to where they showing it, they putting a spotlight on it of different, people of color, especially black people, coming up missing, and the circumstance on what happened beforehand, and really investigating the history of that particular location. You know what I mean? And it's like, but I mean, to make a long story short, it's still going on to this day.
Yeah,
you know
and that's sad, and that's bad on our country and our nation.
Absolutely.
That we haven't rise above racial prejudice. That we still harbor. God has created us all, and He did not create us to be at odds with one another.
Right. Yeah, still to this day, we still deal with a lot of racism, and it's, like you said, that's just the history of this nation.
Yeah, and it's and it's sad, because even Martin Luther King, he was saying that one day we'll live in a nation where we will not be judged by the color of their skin, but the content of our character. Right. That was his dream. That even in the state of Mississippi, the black boys and black girls would hold hands with little white boys and white girls and walk together.
And it definitely came true.
Yeah, and that is a dream that that he had, and here we had a state sweltering with injustice. Will one day be formed into an oasis of freedom and justice. So these are things that that I've witnessed and experienced, in life. And
that's why I found it very interesting to talk to someone that actually been through it and seen these things happen. And I'm sure that took a big toll on you. It could have went a lot of different ways. Like, you could have went dark. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
absolutely.
Oh yeah, and one of the things that often happens is that you get a spirit of hatred in your heart, and if you allow it to grow, you can it can
take a toll on you.
Take a toll, and it can damage you. But I'm thankful that I have the Spirit of God in me, that I didn't allow it to eat at me or eat away at me. So
So you were always raised in the faith.
Yeah. Mom did. We were one of the things I attribute to my mother. Had to clean your room, had to do your chores, and we always went to church.
So she's building character.
Yeah.
With
you
guys for early age.
Yeah, she
early
did.
age.
Oh yeah, and if you fell asleep, man, in church, she whack you. She whack you, buddy. If you didn't, if you thought about it, she catch my brothers falling and she pop them, pow, right in church, man.
I do remember those.
And of course, none of the members they came to your rescue.
Right.
It was like, you guilty, buddy.
Right.
And here's your punishment.
Right.
Pop. So yeah, mom was like that. So what I learned from that is I learned consistency, because it transformed when it was time to go to school, you had to go to school every day because you went to church every Sunday.
Right.
And you made it to Bible studies every Wednesday. So there was consistency that Mom was building, and that I was unaware of it. And then even, we had to go to summer school, and man, I became so conditioned. Summer school. I went summer school in high school. One, so I could be eligible for sports, because I took off sometimes. And so when I went to college, I went to summer school every summer. So my senior year in college, I only had 2 classes in the evening. I think it was a acting class and a Spanish class.
Acting class. So you took acting classes?
Yeah. It was or acting or film class. I took in college. And it was just, these were electives because, I had finished with all my core courses. So I looked up from going to summer school every summer. I was just conditioned to do it.
Gotcha.
And so, my senior year, man, so I said, thank God to Mom. And Mom, she and my brother, they both have passed on, but they both came to my graduation, and it was good. But those little things that, Mom built within us, they stuck with me and they stayed with me. And again, my kids, I buy them books for the summer. If I was in charge of our academic system, I think because as a whole we're so far behind that I would have year-round school. And of course it may be unpopular with a lot of families, a lot of people, but I think as a whole we should probably implement that, and that is to go, whether you think you need it or not, we need to I think we need to go to school year round.
That way we getting the babies more prepared for life.
For job world.
Job world, just after school when you become legal and everything. Yeah, that's beautiful, man. I wouldn't say nothing wrong with that. So when you were saying, rest in peace to Mom, what I'm saying, for building, such a character and a great dude. And when you say that consistency that you learned, I see that. Like, I see that. That's why I said, like, you always on the go, you always staying consistent. And I've seen that in you, and it's truly inspiration to see you, how you move, how you stay consistent, and how you parenting. Your parenting is amazing too. You know what I mean? I see it. Your son is very mannerable. You know what I'm saying? Very respectful. Yeah. And I didn't expect nothing less. You know what I mean? I don't expect nothing less.
Yeah, and it's I've never been absent at work, and it's just something that's built in you, as a child. And
like I said, for you to rest or take off, you have to be forced. Like you got to go through an injury. Something's got to be going on for Tony to not be there.
And so, and you want that consistency in your kid's life, and of course, my kids, they probably between the 3, they probably missed probably 1 day of school since they've been going to school. Probably 1 day a year, and it's of course it's sickness. One of them gets a bug from somebody at school, and so they go, and they know that staying home is not an option. We take that. We remove that temptation from them, to stay at home. But,
hey man, you setting them up for success, man. It's gonna be embedded in them to where they gonna feel some type of guilt if they, think that now I'm gonna take off. Like, no, I can't do that. You know what I mean?
It's something that you try to instill in them, and these are just little ingredients to be successful, and it has everything to do with effort.
Yeah. It's the small things that
Oh,
build
yeah.
up. You know what I mean? You gotta
Oh,
start
absolutely.
crawling before you start walking and then running
Yeah.
and everything.
Yeah, yeah.
So, growing up, right, Tone, who were your biggest like influencers?
Well,
Like, who did you look up to? Because you say your father wasn't around.
Yeah, he wasn't around, and there was a guy in our neighborhood named Gary Morton. He was a couple years older. He ran track, played football, and Gary's probably my influence athletically, and of course spiritually was Martin Luther King, because of his unwavering faith and courage. You know, you have a guy that's life is on the line every day, and being threatened consistently, constantly, and yet he stands up to ugly.
Right.
Stands up with the help of the good Lord. He was able to do that. So those are my biggest influences in my life. Gary,
Gotcha.
he later went to college, ran track at Kentucky State, and was coaching, coaches track, and then of course we know what happened to Martin
Luther King.
But he was as a man, great influence. Yeah.
Absolutely. So Gary, I kind of zoned in. Zoned out a little bit when you were talking about Gary. So Gary was...
He played football. He was...
Okay.
We same neighborhood.
Oh, so you grew up with Gary?
Grew up with Gary.
Was he older than you a little bit?
Just a couple years older.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's good, man.
Yeah.
I think it's very important for us to have a role model around
those
adolescent years, man, to have somebody to look, you know what I mean, to set an example for you, because you know
and he was, and he is. We still talk today, and it's just great. Yeah.
Got you. So I know that you got the your 3 babies now. Well, your son, he a young man at this point, and he's a giant, pretty big. You said he got it from his grandfather, and so you got your 3 kids, but then I remember when we were talking, you said you had another son. Your older son.
I have two older boys.
Okay, you got 2 older boys.
2 older boys. Courtney, he lives in Hawaii.
That's what I was
Britton, he lives here.
Okay.
And then Mariah, she lives in Utah.
Okay.
And she's married and has 2 kids, and
So was that from a previous marriage or?
Yeah, previous relationship.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
And I know you're married now. With 2 beautiful wives.
Yeah.
Very lovely.
Yeah.
How long have you been married?
We're going on 20 years.
20 years.
Yeah.
Wow. So you have a lot of wisdom and experience when it comes
it's we push and pull, but we push and pull together.
Absolutely.
And
That's
she's I know without a doubt that that's who God wanted me to marry. And God promised to give us the desires of our heart, and he did through marriage. And she's wonderful person, great wife, and it was God. She's God sent, and without a doubt, and that I know.
I know what you mean.
Yeah.
So what would be your advice for newlyweds? Somebody that's just planning on getting married. What would your advice be to them?
Well, you have to have, God has to be the center of your marriage. And if when God is the center of your marriage and your life, then you know who you're accountable for, and two, you know what to do, and when there's a struggle, you know who to go to, rather than go to Cleo. Well, she's since passed, but rather than go to your neighbors, you go to God and for answers. Yeah, yeah.
I feel that, man.
Yeah,
Definitely feel that. So what does Tony enjoy doing nowadays? Like what makes Tony happy?
It's the little things in life.
I feel that way too.
It's I really love family and guiding my children, because by guiding them I learn more about me. Not so much them, but I learn about, you know, who I am and what I am. Things that I teach them, things that I instill in them. These are things that were passed down through my mother. And so it tells me, I'm reminded every day of who I am and what I am.
That's beautiful.
By raising them. Yeah.
That's beautiful,
yeah,
man.
Yeah.
So would you say, I've heard fathers say that when you have a child, you learn from, instead of you teaching them, they teach you more.
Oh, absolutely. Oh, yeah. Because now you're looking in the mirror, and sometimes it's difficult for us to look in the mirror because we don't always like what we see or what we do.
You don't want to face it.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Right. Yeah. That's truth, man. Well, speaking on that, I actually have one on the way.
Oh,
to
good.
the first trimester Monday.
Good.
Yeah.
Good.
So,
good.
and I'm gonna make it official. I know I've been talking about it for years, but I'm really about to, as far as marriage.
Oh, good.
About to make it official.
Yeah, yeah. And there's just let me say this. In talking to people and the young ones, trying to understand that was God's institution, because God saw that it wasn't good for us to be alone, because we just get into all sorts of stuff, man. We just, you know, trouble follows us.
Oh yeah.
And temptations knocking on your door.
Right.
And all these things are going on, and it's because we're not doing what God wants us to do. And even when we do what God wants us to do, especially temptation and other ungodly things we're faced with daily, but we know how to handle them.
Right.
And it's good to have someone with you that, you know, now you can move on and progress in life. Yeah. Oh, absolutely.
Like when you said, you know, that God brought your wife,
Yeah.
you know, in your life for you. That's how I truly feel.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
We've been together 7 years, and I've known for quite some time. Like, this is the way I want to do it.
And it's the best thing to do is to understand that, and then you live it, and you you're able to prosper and progress, make progress in life. Yeah.
Gotcha. So if there's anything, if you can go back in your past and change anything, would you change anything? What would it be?
Nothing really. I would say I made some mistakes and I learned from them. But as far as changing anything, I wouldn't, because I've learned from
The mistakes.
my mistakes.
That's how we evolve and learn.
Yeah, and I think it's, you know, a good thing that I've learned, so I know better, you know.
Right.
And so you don't continue to do the same thing over and over expecting different results.
Right.
I know what the result's going to be
Right.
if I do certain things.
Right.
So
I think they say that's when you, but they say that's how you know I don't know, don't quote me, I don't know if it's correct, but they say you an idiot if you make the same mistake more than one time, and if you know the result and you
well, it's the definition of insanity.
Insanity, that's what it is. Insanity.
You keep doing the same
thing
over. You know, if you keep getting pulled over by the police, and because you're smoking or whatever you're doing, you keep getting pulled over. Well, you know, don't expect not to get pulled over. You know, it's going to happen.
Exactly.
So.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah. So those are things we learn from. Yeah.
I know from my experience, I was starting to go down the wrong path before I was legal, 18, and I got into robbing. I've actually got caught one time, and that was that one time after that just changed my whole world, and I was able to see, you know, what's really important, this, that, and the third. But I got charged with burglary and theft. Like I said, it was before I was 18. I went to the detention home, and you know, I haven't been back since. You know what I mean? So have you? Did you experience that? Because I know that, you know, was it that situation that like switched your whole, you know, life around, your perspective, going through a particular experience, going down the
no,
path?
I think what I've learned from is sometimes I let people in my life that I should not have, and when you do that, you subject yourselves. You know, there are people, and understand I'm cordial with anyone and everyone, but there's some people that I've learned to keep my distance because they don't mean me or anyone any good. And so you stay away from that, and you learn from incidents in your life, you learn from them. It's a good thing. But when you don't learn from them and you keep doing them over and over again, then, you know, it is. And so, you learn from those obstacles in life.
Right. So what's your favorite genre of music? Because I know you. I'm
still stuck in the 60s, 70s.
Different time.
Yeah, little 80s. I'm real big into, of course, jazz and big band. I love big band, love swing. I love swing music, love it. And I love the funk.
The funk?
Yeah.
That's 70s, right?
Yeah,
funk,
loved a lot of those groups, Parliament, Funkadelic, Gap Band, you know. And I can switch to the OJs, the Dramatics, Temptations, Supremes, of course, females, Delphonics, Four Tops. We just go on and of the different groups. And that genre, that they sang about relationships, about heartache and about love. Nothing, you know, about hurting or damaging one another. You know, if loving you is wrong, I don't want to be right, because being right means being without you, and I never want to, do without you. So, and then, you know, you have the OJs, they smile in your face all the time trying to take your place.
The backstabbers.
Yeah. So, and then you learn from being promiscuous. From the Temptations, Papa was a Rolling Stone, and wherever you. So these are things you look at in terms of brokenness in our community and in our families, you know, that aren't good.
Right.
And so.
I love that song, by the way.
Yeah.
Rolling Stone. Well, all those you just mentioned that I do know of.
Oh yeah. They were, they were just songs that just resonate in my heart. And again, they were talking about love, that they wanted to love, and
it was real substance then. Like you. When you listen to it, you can hear that they actually been through it. Like, you know what I mean? Like it's real substance, and you know, I feel, and I'm sure you do too, that love is like the highest frequency.
Oh
man, you can't mess with love. You know, you can't touch it. It's love is untouchable.
Yeah, it is.
You know what I mean? That's why you know, when you come from love, it's hard to penetrate with heart. I mean, with hate, it's hard to penetrate your solid heart with hate. You know. Yeah. So yeah, that's beautiful, man. That is beautiful. I'm glad you gave a list of some names too, because I'm gonna go back and look at check them out, and because some of the names I've never heard before.
Well, I mean Gladys Knight.
I heard Gladys Knight before.
Gladys Knight, and she was just great, man. And of course we had Tina Turner. And she didn't. Tina sought love, but wasn't quite sure if she had experienced it in the way that she wanted to, because of the turmoil. When she sang "Love," what's love got to do with it? Lets me know, bless her heart, that she didn't quite experience love like God intended it to be. And perhaps maybe she did, but when you sing "What's love got to do with it?" Love's got everything to do with it, because when the absence of love, if there's no love in it,
what are we doing?
Why are we doing this? Is turmoil.
Right.
So that's one thing, but again, she's not here to defend herself. So, but God rest her soul.
Rest in peace.
Yeah.
Beautiful thing about it is, though, with music in general, is somebody out there who's going to, feel that music, and maybe, later on down the line, they change their perspective on it, but, somebody, some way, shape, or form is going to feel that. So what would you say your favorite album of all time? Like if you had to choose one album, if you was going to an island by yourself, and you had to pick one album to jam out to, what would that be?
Oh, it would be hard. Probably a number of artists. Of course, I love the Gap Band, Shalimar, Confunction, Midnight Star, the Isley Brothers.
It is hard when you
Four Tops, and it goes on. I love Barry White. Met Barry White.
Oh, you actually met Barry White?
Yeah, Barry was Barry was a great guy, and I can share this with you. Barry, so he was on the show that I worked for, and of course, just understand I'm in college. And so I asked Barry, I said, how did you get here? And he told me, he said, the hard work he put in. He said it was a lot of hard work. And he said, listen, he said, let me just tell you this. He said, if there's anything you want to do in life, he said, put your mind to it and don't let anybody discourage you. And that was the thing that we talked about. And Barry, nice, warm man, genuine. He was just a loving, caring person. My term growing up was down to earth. You know, wasn't arrogant, didn't show any form of arrogance. But one of the things I was showing my age, of course, and my naivety, and I admit to it. I asked Barry, I looked at his wife, and she has these nails that are like 18, they're so long that they curl, they curl up.
They curl? They
curl up. Yeah, she has some long nails. And I looked at her and I said, Barry, and I'm naive, I'm a college kid, of course. That's my excuse. And I said, Barry, I said, how does she cook for you? How does she make your meals? And he looked at me and laughed. He laughed so hard. He said, buddy, she don't cook. And I laughed because I didn't know the wealth that they had somebody to,
chef
to make their meals.
Right.
So, and he laughed and she laughed. Because again, it was a nail. I said, man, hey, buddy, this would be hard trying to make you meal. I know you never missed a meal.
Right.
Yeah, I can look at you. You ain't missed many meals, Barry.
Right.
So
Right.
We laughed, and but yeah, he was just a great guy.
But you know what? I would say that's still a question, though. I feel like it's necessary because, depending on the wealth or richness, she might still enjoy cooking.
But I'm looking.
Right.
I'm saying, man, how do you do that?
Right.
And I think today, of course, I would be criticized for raising that question today. But hey, I'm not ashamed at all that I asked you, because that was looking.
Right. So that's when you was working at that.
NBC Everywhere show.
Got you. Okay. So you were the one. It was like Offset, or you was like actually
Offset.
Okay.
Yeah,
Gotcha.
we went to different locations. Yeah. And it was, it was a nice thing because here's Barry married, family person, dedicated to his wife, and it was always good for me to meet. This is before I was married. It's always great to meet family people, and I kept getting bites from individuals in my early years from the people I came across. I do remember, halftime of football game at the LA Coliseum, and it was we were at the LA Coliseum, and it was the Notre Dame USC football game, and of course I didn't expect to meet President Reagan. He was there at the game.
President Reagan?
Yeah. So I went over and we talked about family, and it was great conversation, great person, had a lot of insight in terms of family, the family structure, and the responsibilities of the man in the house.
Gotcha.
Yeah, he was a very family oriented person and great person to talk to. Yeah, he was.
So you met a few celebrities in your time in California.
Well, I don't necessarily look at them as celebrities. They're people. And that's how I always looked at them. I never said
we're well-known people.
And then of course I'm in Westwood. That's where UCLA is located. So I'm at the movies, and Arnold Schwarzenegger. He was at the movies with Maria Shriver when they were married at the time, and he was there, and I don't know if he was married, but he was with her, and so I was teasing him. Of course, I was smaller then than I am now, And I went up to him. I said, "Hey, can I have your autograph?" And he looked. He said, "Too many people." And I said, "Give me your autograph before I jack you up." He, little me and Big Arnold, he laughed and laughed.
Yeah, that's really ironic.
Yeah.
Right?
So, but he did get a laugh out of that, and
Never did get that interview. Autograph.
No, and I understood it. He, again, very nice, and I don't, some people charge money,
Right.
for autographs.
Right.
He did. He's very
because if he
nice.
give you one, everybody else going to.
And it was crowded. We were in Westwood, and that was a hangout, a weekend hangout for college kids. So
he probably didn't have his English probably wasn't as good at that time too, maybe.
Well,
probably still getting it together.
It was. He had that, of course, deep, thick accent and German accent, and he said, "Too many people," and his baritone, almost Barry White, almost. Of course, you could hear his accent, and it was.
Right. So are you a big movie person? Like, cause I know we in the movie room, but I know this is more so for your kids. But do you?
Yeah, there's some movies I just haven't. There hasn't been anything out there that I have to see.
That's how I feel too.
There are mainly a lot of action movies, and I'm not seeing anything with substance, a lot of substance. But the children's movies, find myself enjoying them more with my kids. Like
they do be some good kids.
Inside Out. I'm watching Id and Minions and some of the movies that are out. Frozen and and I say these because this is what my kids watch and I watch it with them and to get meaning out of them, you know. And there's a lot of messages in those movies. Yeah.
Got you. Yeah, that's dope. So with that being said, if you had to pick one movie, what's your favorite movie of all time? Let's take it back. Favorite movie of all time.
I would say The Godfather.
Classic.
And is one. To Share with Love, starring Sidney Poitier. Is
To Share with Love, huh?
Yeah, To Share.
Oh, okay,
To Share.
To Share with Love.
S-I-R. To Share with Love. To Love, Sidney Poitier. And I enjoy it and A Bronx Tale. These movies I enjoy because The Godfather, I don't look at I looked at the family aspect of it, what a family does, and no matter how ungodly it may be, but it's a family, and
they were real close.
Yes, and
organized.
Yeah, and willing to die for one another. And again, I'm not saying that their life is exemplary and this is how you want to live. I'm not saying that at all.
Right.
But the family aspect, the Bronx Tale, is because a father's trying to raise a boy to become a man. Same thing that I enjoyed about Boys in the Hood with Larry Fishburne and Ice Cube and Cuba Gooding is we have a father raising his boy to become a man. And the same thing what Larry Fishburne is trying to do in Boys in the Hood, we find Robert De Niro trying to do the same for his son. He's trying to raise him to become a man.
Right.
And they're actually going through these trials in life. And the father keeps telling the son, keeps warning him, this is what's going to happen.
Right.
And so you look at it from a family aspect, and that's what it is.
Yeah.
It's about a father raising his boys to become a man.
Right.
Now, we see these things, and we're faced with that today. God talks about in the book of Malachi, behold, the days are coming when I will turn the hearts of the fathers to the sons and the sons to the fathers.
Right.
So lets us know there's a separation, and we find ourselves that the hearts aren't together as they should be, and as a result we find ourselves with so much crime and so much discord with fathers and sons, and then it goes back to the father not being in the home. And that's one of the things that we don't quite understand, and even for me, one of the things that has been difficult for me to stomach is that, and when I say stomach, don't look at it the negative aspect. But one of the things that me growing up, I could differentiate the genders, the boys and the girls, and today it's difficult. I don't. It's difficult for me to differentiate who's who, and at times I don't know how to approach the person. And I'm talking about even the kids. The kids are looking at, and of course, so when you take the father, remove him from the home, this is what we've subject ourselves to, and it's
the result.
Yeah, it's heartbreaking, man. It is, because there is a difference, and I'm not saying
you're just not accustomed to it.
No,
yeah.
No, and again, it's difficult to tell who's who.
Right. Yeah, it is at different times.
Yeah,
like,
absolutely.
Like you said, it's a result of the father being removed from the home and not being there, and just being raised about mom. Around mom. Like a lot of the males, that was just raised with mama. He may not identify as a woman, but he's very emotional like a woman.
Oh yeah.
He responds like a woman, and because he didn't have that example, we a lot of us got mommy issues that, and daddy issues as well.
Yeah.
That we, just haven't dealt with. And
absolutely,
it's so important that we realize it and heal, get past it, Yeah, that is so true. I know when I'm how it's all these different terms and names for the gender and everything. I don't want to offend nobody, so I try to find other ways of saying besides saying miss or sir.
Yeah.
Because you can offend somebody nowadays with that. So I try to avoid even saying it, but it's different times, man. Definitely different times. So headed toward the future, talking. You still got a lot going. You got a lot to look forward to. Your kids growing up.
Yeah.
Where you see yourself 10 years from now? That'd be 2034.
Retired in terms of working, but picking up probably within a future, and that will be parenting my adult children still. And when I say still, they don't necessarily have to reside at home, but we're still parenting.
Right.
And then, I'll within the next couple of years start picking up on writing again. And that's what I planned in terms of TV series and film. That's what I'll probably be doing.
Gotcha.
Doing that. Yeah.
Okay. Sounds good, man. You put in a lot of work, it's you know, it's gonna be a good time where you can just, you know, kick back and enjoy the fruits of your labor, man. You know,
Oh yeah.
and watch all this that you created, that you helped, you know, grow.
Yeah.
And everything. So yeah, that's a beautiful thing. And yet, do you? Let me just say this: are there any misconceptions about you that you want to debunk or address?
No, because I don't. I know who I am, what I am, the good in my life, and things that I may have regret, but at the same time, there's nothing that I feel that I need to debate or talk to anyone about. The things I've done in life, I've asked God for forgiveness, and that's all matters.
That's all that matters.
Yeah,
And that's growth right there.
Yeah, I don't need man's forgiveness. The ones that if I've wronged someone, the ones that I've wronged, I've asked for forgiveness, and that's enough for me. And after that, I'm not in a popularity contest.
Right.
Yeah.
We're past that point.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
You know, I've seen. I was on. Can't remember what I was on, but I heard a man say, you know, he was talking about how, you know, we talk about how we don't care what people think of us, and then, you know, but deep down inside we really do. He was talking about in the 20s, you know, you say it, but you care.
Yeah.
And then he said when he got in his 30s, he stopped caring what people was thinking about 40 or something. Then he said when he got to his 50s, he realized that wasn't nobody even thinking about him in the first place.
Oh, yeah.
So he said, you know, that's the least of his concerns. And the older we get, the less we, you know, care about what people think of us, and we just do what we need to do. You know what I mean? So I think the earlier somebody realized that, the better off they'd be.
Oh yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
because people gonna talk regardless. I mean, you know, I'm sure it's in multiple scriptures in the Bible. You know how they talked about Jesus and.
Oh, everybody.
You know what I mean?
Oh yeah. Absolutely.
Everybody's gonna have something to say about you, good or bad or whatever. You just gotta keep it pushing. Do what you gotta do. Yeah. So, are there any questions that you got for me, Tom?
No.
Okay. No. All right. Well, with that being said, we're just gonna go ahead and wrap it up. This was a dope interview, man. Dope interview. I've anticipated this very moment at least 5 years ago. Like I remember you was the first one that I asked, like, yeah, I want to interview you, man. You know what I mean? I know you had a story to tell, and you know, with your age and the experience that you have, I know you've been through some things, and I just love the way you you know, interpret things, how your perspective on life, and you know, I like the way you give it up. You know what I'm saying? And like I said, I got tremendous respect for you, tremendous and love. And yeah, with that being said, this is the first episode of A Moment in Your World, and it's with my man Tony. So,
Hey, man. All right, buddy.
Peace and love, brother.
All right, man.
Yep.
Same to you. Right back at you.
Yep.